Hey guys, Ashley here, giving a little statistics lesson. If you'd like to follow along, I'm on page 473 and 474 in the textbook. I'm going to talk a little bit on section 11.1.3 on how to construct and interpret confidence intervals for the difference between two population proportions. Before we get started, you must test 3 requirements and they must be satisfied. Number 1, you must make sure that the samples are independent of each other. Number 2, N1 times P hat of 1 times 1 minus P hat of 1 must be greater than or equal to 10. This applies for both populations. You must test each for number 2. Number 3, N1 must be less than or equal to 0.05 of N1. Once again, you must test each population. Number 3, this also ensures independence. It means that the sample size is no more than 5% of the population. Now, if I was going to do this by hand, you can find the equation along with the satisfactory criteria in the purple box. If I were going to work it out by hand, the equations would kind of look like this, with a lower bound and an upper bound. In this video, I'm going to make the approach of how to do it with our technology, with our calculator. Given a problem like this, you must first test your criteria. All 3 of the requirements we talked about must be satisfied before you can go ahead and test the difference in the 2 population proportions. So, to construct the interval, we must, 1, find our p hats for each sample. Then, we're going to plug them into the calculator. So if you follow along, turn your calculator on, go to Stat, go over to Tests, scroll down to 2 prop z interval, and press Enter. You're going to be prompted for an x1, an n1, an x2, an n2, and a confidence interval. After plugging in the values, scroll down to Calculate. And within your answers will give you an interval. And the first number is going to be the left bound of your interval. The second will be the right bound of your interval. You'll be given a P1, a P2, an N1, and an N2. That's all you need for calculator function. All right there gives you all the answers you need. From this, we can then state our conclusion. Very important on how to interpret the confidence interval. You must state how confident you are with the difference between the proportion and normal values. And I would make sure to include your confidence interval and state your results. You're more than welcome to go back into the problem and make sure to write out everything you're talking about. And that's a short little video on constructing confidence intervals between 2 population proportions.